Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. Today we are reacting to another day in the life of Gwyneth Paltrow and her ski vacation gone awry. But before we get to that, and so here's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a kind of a side-by-side comparison. The cross of Gwyneth Paltrow and the cross of Mr. Sanderson. I'm going to show you what a good cross and a bad cross is. And I think we already kind of established that, you know, the plaintiff's lawyer lacks a little finesse, for lack of a better word. And the stylistic difference means something because it's all in how the message is delivered. But before we get to that, this episode, like all of our episodes, is brought to you by eSign.com. eSign.com. Let's say you are a skier in Deer Valley, Utah, and clobbered by a celebrity, and then all of a sudden you brag about it, and you're looking for a lawyer, and all of a sudden you realize you're in the middle of trial and your lawyer sucks the bag. And so you need to get a new lawyer. So you're in court, you can't do anything except for, remotely sign a document. So you go to eSign. You download the app, you get 3 free signatures a month, and it's an effective way to remotely do business. Now you can stay and change who your lawyer is because you need to, because she might be a drunk. She's not a drunk. I don't know if she's drunk or not. But anyway, I use it all the time. eSign.com is an effective way to remotely sign documents. I have a client who can't come into the office to sign a retainer agreement. What do? I just have an e-signed document, get it to him, and it's like butter. So, all right. So here we're going to react to this, the cross-examination, the continued cross-examination of Gwyneth Paltrow. And I will have to say, Gwyneth Paltrow, throughout this really hasn't been how do I want to put this? This hasn't really been a super harsh cross-examination. She's able to maintain her composure. Let's just watch. I think she does a really good job as a witness.
$1 in symbolic damages. Is that accurate?
It's an actual dollar that I'm asking for.
Okay, but you also testified when I asked you questions in your deposition that $1 is symbolic. Do you remember me asking you about
It's symbolic because the damages would actually be more.
Okay.
So you go down this line of questioning that it's symbolic, and you know where she's going with this. She's going to liken this to Taylor Swift and some other stupid questions. But how does this push the ball down the field for her? It doesn't.
But remember me asking you, is it symbolic? And you said, yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay. And I asked you as well, you learned about that through Taylor Swift because she asked for $1 in symbolic damages, right?
And I think
you look at her expression. Aside from the fact that she looks like a deer in the headlights, it looks like, oh, I've got her here. But it really doesn't matter. What she's saying here does not matter to her part of the case at all. In fact, you're giving her a chance to explain why she's only asking for $1 and not being greedy.
At that point, I had not been familiar with it, but I since am.
Now you are. Yes. But at the time, a couple of years ago in 2020, you didn't know anything about Taylor Swift's.
Now they're arguing about Taylor Swift. What does that have to do with Deer Valley, Utah, and getting your ass kicked on the slopes? Nothing. Has nothing to do with liability, has nothing to do with damages. And has nothing to do with bias either. In fact, it almost... I know what she's trying to do here. What she's trying to do is saying she's this celebrity copying other celebrities. But even if you believe that, who cares?
$1 symbolic damage lawsuit?
Just relevance, Your Honor. Counsel?
Because I asked her about it at the time, and she denied it.
I can ask her anything at a deposition. It doesn't mean it's relevant now.
Correct.
Can you answer the question?
I was not aware at the time.
Are you good friends with Taylor Swift?
No.
Are you good friends with that? How is it? And she asked a bunch of other really, really, really dumb questions, like about ski outfits, And none of this matters. I mean, it just doesn't matter. Let's take a look at Gwyneth Paltrow's lawyer and how he cross-examines Mr. Sanderson.
I wrote, I'm famous because it's cool that I had a collision with a celebrity.
Now, that's relevant because it shows bias. But watch how he conducts himself.
Was that your thinking at the time? And you said yes. Do you deny it?
Not if you have it on record, no. I don't deny it. I don't remember it. But
Well, let's go to page 15. Can you bring that up? Move to publish the deposition.
So here's what he's doing. So they took a deposition of the plaintiff, and they obviously impeached him with some text messages. And now they're asking him about what he testified to in that deposition. And he's saying he doesn't really remember. So what do? You publish it and you shove it up his ass.
Your Honor, he said he doesn't deny it, so why are we publishing?
Because he earlier denied it.
I'll overrule the objection and permit that portion of the deposition to be published.
And it's a statement of a party opponent.
ask when this happened?
Sure. Like 1 hour ago, 2 hours ago, you told this jury, I've never thought it was cool that I had a collision with a celebrity. Do you recall that?
Yes, I guess I did say that, absolutely.
And that's not a true statement, is it? You have said this in your deposition, true?
Honestly, I don't ever remember saying it.
Bring it.
And here's the danger of, not owning up to what is in your statements and being inconsistent, for that matter. The danger is, okay, now you're going to highlight this testimony. And, the plaintiff's lawyer should have fronted that. They should have gotten out front and said, okay, you said this in your deposition and this text message. Did you really mean that at the time? He should have been much better prepared.
But I don't doubt you. I misspeak a lot.
I don't doubt you. I misspeak a lot.
Okay, this is page 15, line 5 through.
So the words "I'm famous" seem to say that I think it's cool that I had a collision with a celebrity. Was that your thinking at the time? Yes, I guess, because there's a text message about it.
8. So the words "I'm famous," this is my question, seem to say I think it's cool that I had a collision with a celebrity. Was that your thinking at the time? And your answer was yes. I guess, yes. Now let's go to your weight. You testified today that you were 163 and 5'5". True?
Yes, I did.
And did you
Little fella.
agree that at your deposition you told me you were 175 to 180 and 5'8"? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Qualified, yes.
No, I don't want to qualify.
I can't
Did you
answer
tell
this.
me that? Like
do
I
mind.
said, how much do you weigh? And you said 175, 80. How much did you weigh? And then you said 5'8". How high are you? How tall are you? 3 inches different, right?
I just found that out. I didn't really.
I just found out how fucking tall I am. Jesus, Martha. And I suppose this is relevant in a sense because, the impact and all that kind of stuff, the dynamics of the collision.
I've had
Sir,
people telling me that.
You
honestly.
told this jury that at the time of the accident you were 163 and 5'5". Did you not, like 2 hours ago?
I did, yes. Yes.
But you told me in your deposition years ago that you were 170 to 180 and 5'8".
I shrunk.
True?
How many years ago did we do this?
3 years ago.
I've lost a lot of weight. I'm down to my usual weight.
Did you lose some inches?
We're interested not now in your weight today. We're interested in your weight on the day.
Thank you. I knew where that was
Do you
going.
agree you were 5'8"?
Yes.
Have you shrunk 3 inches?
I couldn't believe it either. I wanted to argue because I think I'm 5'8" yet.
You
But
do have degenerative back disease and those discs are
I've always-
getting squeezed? Is that why?
I have to say yes. I've always been 5'8.5", and I knew I shrunk a half an inch, but 3, wow. So,
Mr. Sanderson, we're trying in council, let's not speak.
So just in that little bit of questioning, you get a flavor for who this guy is, right? And see how slow and deliberate the cross-examination is? It's pretty good.
On top of one another so
Thank
that
you.
we have a clear, clean record.
you're right. Yes, Your Honor.
When we talked about you being unconscious, and do you agree that someone who's unconscious doesn't have a stopwatch to figure out how long they were actually unconscious?
I agree. That's true.
Everything you've learned was from Craig after the collision.
No.
Yeah, that's over big, and I'll withdraw it because I agree that's
Not
over-
everything. It's not everything. Sorry.
Right. As far as level of length of unconsciousness, do you agree that you weren't stopwatching yourself?
I have no idea.
Yeah. And yet you did tell people it varied over time. First a few seconds, then 5 minutes, then 10 minutes. You did that, right?
Now you're going after credibility. So, and here's what happens. When some important event happens to somebody, you get an initial reaction. And the more, generally speaking, the more they tell the story, the bigger the story gets, right? I caught this fish yesterday. Oh my God, it was just a fighter. Oh my God, I caught this fish 3 weeks ago. I caught a shark. Have you seen the shark I caught? So that's kind of what we're talking about here.
Do you disagree?
Yes, it did vary.
And why did you do that? Why would you say, I don't know, then it's a few seconds, then it's 5 minutes, and then you told your psychiatrist at the VA it was up to 10 minutes long?
So that's a good springboard to show that his memory or his recounting, it gets inflated.
Why did you change?
I had no idea, and I was searching. I really had no idea, and I was trying.
I had no idea, so I make up the facts.
Answer. I sometimes make that mistake of guessing, but I really didn't know.
And it was to try to get the attention of the doctor. Do you remember telling me that?
I don't.
Put that up.
I don't know how to.
Let's find it.
What's the date?
Let's go to page 95.
Which deposition, 1, 2, or 3?
1. They're all cumulative, so the page will tell you that. Page 95, starting at.
See, when you have a deposition transcript, and somebody's testifying, and they testify about something different than what they testified to in their deposition, well, you impeach them, and to impeach means you're trying to establish that they lack credibility, or they're lying, and so he's got him kind of just making up these times because he really doesn't know, and so he's trying to get the attention of the doctor. So he's trying to make something up for a specific purpose, which is really eats away at somebody's credibility.
It depends on my visit. If I want to make a deal out of it, and that was the reason for my visit, then I might say for 10 minutes. I might pick.
This is really good cross-examination because it's not just that he doesn't remember. It's that if I want to make a deal out of it, in other words, if I want to get the attention that I'm looking for with the doctor, I'm going to have to say it's more serious.
Worst. That's kind of how we are. We go to the doctor's attention. We go to get the doctor's attention about a specific thing. And it wasn't at that point how long I was unconscious was not a point of relevance for me. That's your testimony, correct?
I'm confused by those statements, so
Yes or no?
yes, it is.
By the way, when we took your deposition, there's a lot of formality to it. Too, you're placed under oath just like the one you were put on today. Yeah. And your counsel's present, and you were able to talk to them before.
See, he's not really. In cross-examination, you get out your theory of the case. You attack a witness or you ask a witness questions that you already know the answer to. He knows the answer to these questions. Well, are you and Taylor Swift friends? I mean, who fucking cares? And she doesn't know the answer to that question, and she looks like an idiot for asking it. He's very targeted, and this is a good cross-examination.
Yes?
And I think I had,
Yes.
11 hours or so of deposition?
I can't really hear you, sir, but my question is, you had your advice of your counsel there.
Yes.
And I asked at the beginning of the deposition, is there any reason why you can't give me your best testimony today? And you said no, correct?
Yes.
And I even told you, I think, that if you testified differently at your deposition than you would in front of this jury, I would call it to their attention. Do you recall this?
Yes.
And that's exactly what he was doing.
And you took an oath, and you then had the opportunity to make any changes to your deposition transcript. Is that true?
Yes.
And did you?
No, I don't remember making any changes. I think I made 2 with you. I said 2 corrections and that I remembered.
Okay. You
And
didn't.
you
You didn't
took-
make some, and counsel told you let's not submit those.
I haven't looked at these depositions at all. Not at all.
Do you dispute that?
Which is another lack of preparation.
Well, I heard you call Eric Christensen, a Deer Valley instructor for 40 years, a bully. Did you say that?
I did say that, yes.
And that he was yelling at your face.
Yes. I figured out. I didn't actually know that until.
And we'll meet him at 1 o'clock. Deer Valley's known, or at least puts itself out there, doesn't it, as like the most customer friendly they could possibly be. Do you agree?
I agree.
And he skis at Deer Valley a lot, so he would know. But do you see how he's getting him to come along on pretty much everything that he's saying? And he's meeting very little resistance. That's because he's effective.
Were your skis on or off at the end of the collision, do you know?
Absolutely, they were on.
Okay. So you do remember some things after.
Yes.
Okay. And
And so when he asked that question, he already knew the answer to that because it was in his deposition.
Craig, by the way, you said you weren't here for your daughters, but you haven't been here for several statements, right?
Several, yes.
It was more than just like, I don't want to make my daughters uncomfortable. You haven't been here for many.
I didn't.
Yeah. And Sam Goldstein said part of the reason is you don't take criticism well. Do you agree with that statement?
What the f*** do you mean by that?
I always want to be a better person, and I even tell my kids, if I'm doing something wrong, tell me. I want to be better.
All right. So do you agree or disagree with this statement?
Guess
Mr.
what?
Sanderson does not take criticism well.
He's going to shove that up his ass.
Hard for me to measure that. I've not been around other humans as much as I have been in the past. So it's hard for me to measure that. Honestly, I don't.
Do you agree that when Whitney came with the toboggan, she asked you what happened, and you said, I don't know. Do you agree with that statement?
If that's on the record, I don't disagree with it. I don't remember that particular part.
That's important because sometimes, you can have something happen in a flash and not know how it happened, and especially if you were knocked unconscious. So this is what he's established in this short little bit of cross-examination, that he makes things up, in order to get a result, that he, at one point when this happened, said he doesn't know how it happened, and now he's in court being absolutely sure about how this happened. See the pattern? Very effective.
Interaction. I just remember she said something to me, and
It's the first question, right? Ski patroller comes up. By the way, you've hurt yourself before skiing, true?
never needing help, right?
Before this incident, though, you injured your knee.
I had, when I first learned to ski, that first year.
All right.
Beaver. Mm-hmm.
So you don't dispute that the first thing Whitney asked you was like, how are you? And what happened? Do you agree those are like the first two questions?
I have no recollection of those questions.
Because I have a brain injury and I can't remember anything unless it's about liability.
I don't.
And that's the other thing. If you have a witness that is only remembers the things that helped their case, but is fuzzy or doesn't remember things that hurt their case, that destroys their credibility.
I would think she would reach out to me, but I don't.
Did you ever complain to Deer Valley about Eric Christensen, like I was treated like a bully?
I had a lot of time to think about it.
Yes or no?
I don't know if I did. I think when I contacted Deer Valley, I was just after I wanted to find out who hit me and I wanted to copy the records and I didn't bring it up.
Yeah, you never once wrote to Deer Valley like, hey, your ski instructor is a total SOB to me. He treated me poorly.
That's correct. I didn't bring it up because I did not want to cause some anger from them. I wanted to copy and find out who hit me.
But 7 years later, you're here saying he was terrible to me, just terrible. Ramon, Craig.
And so the ski instructor is going to be coming online and he's going to testify. And you're going to see a juxtaposition. He's going to be... And ski instructors, you think a ski instructor is going to just absolutely yell at somebody who's just been injured in a ski accident, whether it's their fault or not? Absolutely not.
Ramon said words to the effect that Christensen said to Ramon, your buddy took out Gwyneth Paltrow. Did you hear those words?
I did.
You personally heard them with your... So now I want to be clear.
Now that would be actually objectionable, I would think, because that's a hearsay statement. Or unless it's an excited utterance. So when somebody makes a statement out of court, it's generally hearsay, unless it falls in within one of the exceptions.
I'm not trying to confuse you. Did you hear him when you were on the ski slope? Okay. And Ramon did not do anything to try to set the record straight at that point. Do you know anything about that?
About who hit me?
Correct.
When we got down into the
at that
medical
point
care?
was my question. On the mountain.
Yeah, on the mountain, but in the shed. I was...
Okay.
So the problem with his case is he's got a lack of memory about what actually happened and how it happened. So, and Gwyneth Paltrow has a crystal clear memory of exactly what happened.
You said your skis were on after the collision. Do you recall your head being downhill or uphill?
Absolutely downhill. I was going down, and absolutely.
So several witnesses say the opposite, and you disagree?
I disagree absolutely because I couldn't get up.
And where was Gwyneth's head when she came to arrest? Head down, head up?
I have no idea. As far as I know, she didn't exist.
Because you didn't see anything?
I was out. I had no idea. Everything else is what I heard.
She doesn't exist. The jury is going to find for Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm just going to make that prediction right now. He's got a fundamental lack of understanding of what happened in that ski accident.
Did you tell Eric Christensen, according to his report, that she appeared right in front of me? Yes or no?
No.
So he just made that up?
Must have.
Deer Valley.
So now the reason he's asking what is in somebody else's report is because he needs to ask Eric Christensen about that. Okay? And so the only way he can ask them about, and we call it a prior inconsistent statement. He's got to give him a chance to explain, give him a chance to, you ask him about it, confront him about it, give him a chance to explain, and then now he can go back and ask Eric Christensen, the ski instructor, when he gets on the stand, about that statement.
Just falsified a record. Is that your opinion?
I never would have said that. I knew where it came from.
You know you sued Deer Valley in this claim, true?
Yes, yes.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance?
Sustained.
And we're not dealing with any of that today. True? We're not dealing with
Objection, relevance, move to strike.
Sustained. The question is stricken and the jury should disregard.
So, Your Honor, I just want to be able to ask if you're willing, you're not suing Deer Valley today.
Your Honor, objection, third objection now, move to strike again.
Sustained.
So, generally speaking, you're not supposed to just tip your toe in the water that the judge says is off limits.
Again,
Okay.
disregard, please.
I hear you saying you were flying through the air after she hit you. Did you say those words? Yes,
Today?
Or, yes or no?
Today?
Today.
Today I did.
With regard to relationships prior, you had 2 divorces, true?
I did, yes.
Now, that's relevant to the extent that his injuries have interfered with any part of his social life. So it's part of damages. So there's fair questions. Because you might ask, well, what the hell does it have to do with him being divorced? And so if he's claiming any kind of loss of relationship or loss of consortium or anything like that, that's why they're going into this.
And was it about 10 years of just dating various different other women?
I guess I wouldn't know exactly. Wouldn't be unreasonable.
I guess I wasn't
Well,
there.
I'm just saying
What
if
the fuck?
the incident occurred in 2016, when was your second divorce? About 10 years
30
earlier?
ago. I'm thinking 30 years ago, I'm thinking.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, it's nice that Carlene, you had found a nice partner, but you were not engaged. Is that true?
We were not.
And
That's
she
what we
was
had.
actually living hundreds of miles away from you.
We went back and forth. It's 3
And she got tired of your lies, didn't she? Didn't she get tired of your lies? Didn't she get tired of you falling down constantly on the ski slopes and then blaming other celebrities? Didn't you fall into Cheech and Chong? I mean, didn't you kick the shit out of Cheech and Chong and then said they kicked the shit out of you?
4 hours maybe, the most.
A couple 100 miles, I think, isn't it?
I don't know.
St. George. We'll move on.
Thank you.
Do you recall saying that you agreed that saying I'm famous was a crazy thing to say?
I'm famous. I just kicked the shit out of Gwyneth Paltrow. Honey, pack up the RV because we just hit the lottery.
Agree?
Absolutely, it's not me. Don't bite
But he texted his daughter that.
that.
But it was you, right? Just to be
Right.
clear. When you say it wasn't me, it was in fact you.
It's the other personality that's inhabiting my body right now.
Really? Well, let's talk to that person. Can he come out and play? Give me a fucking break.
And you blame Gwyneth Paltrow for that.
Yes.
Multiple personality disorder.
Do you recall having a
Nobody fucking
kind of a
believed it.
stroke event like 10 years or so before the incident?
Yeah, but that diagnosis has been changed.
But it's an ischemic retinal occlusion,
Probably due to a migraine.
and you lost your right eye in that.
I lost some vision in that eye, yes.
And that was one of the reasons you retired.
One of many. Mm-hmm.
In terms of your
Prior existing injury, you know? He's got so many problems with this case, it's ridiculous. No doubt in my mind that Gwyneth Paltrow is going to win this case. But we'll follow it, and we'll follow you. And, you know, the thing about these reactions, I love doing these because I say it like you think it. Because these are, they're fun cases, but they're also informational, because I do this for a living, and a lot of times people don't, you know, have the the background information about exactly what's happening in the trial. So this is our reaction to the Gwyneth Paltrow trial. We'll see you next time on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, sign up for Patreon, and we'll see you next time on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away.
23-hour lockdown, police is at my god.